Welcome everyone to Origin Story, the show where you tell your story. This is episode 5, and I have someone who I consider a very good friend on this online space and someone I've been wanting to get a one-on-one chat going with for a while now. Leo Rydel from Geekly Goods. How are you doing today, my brother?
Hey, bro, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Dude, it's awesome. I mean, hey, a nice way to spend a Saturday morning, bro.
It's true, a good way to kick off the weekend, and you and I have been talking, especially in these late few weeks. You and I have been very much talking every day, so we pretty much know what each other is doing at this point. So I was like, Leo is usually free on Saturdays, so I was like, do you want to do this on Saturday?
Yeah, man. I mean, shoot. Pretty much on Saturdays, I'm typically working for the week to get
Yeah.
content ahead or something like that. And yeah, it's the perfect time, man. We don't have any Saturday morning Power Rangers anymore, so here we are.
We do. The new season just kicked off today of Dino Fury.
Excuse me. I need to get back on that.
Well, we're gonna drop the show because Leo's gotta go watch Power Rangers
See you
now.
later, guys.
No, but thank you so much, first of all, for doing this, for being on here. I'm very excited to start talking to you about just about you, about everything, how it started, how it's going, how it's going to go in the future, hopefully.
Dude, I'm excited, man, to chat with you, bro. I mean, hey, like,
Yeah.
I love this YouTube space. I'll admit, like, I'm probably about a year into it. Like, I really didn't take it too seriously until the pandemic dropped it, to be honest with you. But, like, I have just enjoyed creating content, meeting other creators, fostering a community. Like, it has just been a pleasure. Really, just honestly, I have this weird habit of just every time a trailer drops, I'll do my reaction. And then after work, I'll go watch a bunch of other reactions, and including you, Mama's Geeky, Tessa, James, Larry, LC Screen Talk, whenever he does one. Like, I'll just go and binge other people's content. And like, I just love soaking in the creativity that we all put into our channels. It's awesome.
It's true. It's the most fun, especially now that we have our group chat. I immediately go to 3 or 4 specific people. Then I have other friends like you brought up, like LC Screen Talk. I go immediately to his and to people we just know and genuinely like their content and them as people. It's just really fun, especially nowadays. But Leo, I want to start with the what feels like the right first question for your origin story, because in every origin story the hero has a mentor. So you love movies, you have this channel, and we're all in this movie space. So who was the person, if there is one, if there's two, maybe three, that ignited that first love? Who was the person that showed you movies, that brought you into this world, so to speak?
So the person who actually physically brought me into this world and first showed me movies is my father. He was huge, still is huge lover of movies. I mean, my dad was the type of dad who went to the pawn shop and he would bring back like a stack of 12 DVDs, man, like 12 new DVDs to just go through and enjoy the movie. So it was like back when I was younger, he had this giant collection of VHS tapes. I'm old now, so we were doing VHS back when I was younger, but
Yeah.
he had this huge collection of VHS tapes, and I would wait for him to go to sleep. So I would wait till about like 1, 2 in the morning because my dad was a super night owl. I would wait until about then, and then I would sneak down into his collection and grab a VHS tape because my parents are religious. They didn't really allow me to watch PG-13 or R movies. Little do they know until now, I was sneaking in that collection and watching PG-13 and R movies. So I would go into that collection. I'd just pull a VHS out and watch something. And typically it would either be theirs or mine. I would go back and watch Lion King or do something like that. But I would just pull out a VHS tape. That's what got me really afraid of the Chucky series because I ended up pulling out Bride of Chucky when I was a little too young. And yeah, that did not sit well with young Leo. And it has transitioned into a fear of evil clowns right now. So yeah, there's that. But dude, it would just be a different VHS every night. And some of them, it has been so long, Ren, that I'll go back and I'll see a movie and I'll be like, oh yeah, it's that movie, because I hadn't seen it in so long that it was just a random VHS that I pulled out from my dad's collection. So that went on when I was younger. And then when I transitioned into being a teenager and then in middle school, we transitioned into DVDs. My dad had a bigger DVD collection. So I would just go through the DVDs. And I want to say when I was about 16 or 17, I actually went through shelf by shelf the DVDs that he had. And some of them were just like super low budget indie movies. Some of them were like actually blockbusters like Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. Oh my God, I love that second Bad Boys. So I would just pretty much go through my dad's collection and we would just talk about movies here and there. And then there's the other part of the equation, anime. And man, that's a whole other discussion.
and we'll get into that because I really want to get into that. But you brought up something interesting that I was going to ask eventually, but now it feels proper to ask now. So your parents were strict about what you could watch, what you couldn't. Do you have any particular movie like that you remember that, I want to watch that, but you specifically couldn't watch that one?
Yeah, Bad Boys 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not allowed to watch like rated R movies and stuff growing up. But what's weird is I wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies, and a lot of kids that I knew who were religious were not allowed to watch Harry Potter. But my mom and dad actually allowed me to watch Harry Potter movies, because my mom had always said, as long as you just know it's fiction, you're fine to watch that. Like, I don't mind. Yeah. And it was the same with anime, because like I said, I grew up in the religious community. So a lot of other kids were not allowed to watch like Pokemon and Digimon and stuff, because that stuff was, in their words, demonic. But I was allowed to watch it because my parents just reinforced, like, as long as you know it's fiction, you're fine. Like, we trust you to watch these things. And yeah, so it was definitely the Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2, which I think it was probably that first Bad Boys, because I just remember Will Smith, Martin Lawrence being like, I want to watch that so bad. And then also the Sopranos TV show. Every time I walked in and my parents were watching that, they'd be like, turn the channel. You can't watch this. You can't watch this. And I always wanted to watch Sopranos and never got the opportunity to do so because of that.
Yeah. And if you don't mind me asking, are your parents and you Catholic? Was that the faith?
Christian.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's curious because you're not the first person to tell me that. I personally had never had that problem, but you're not the first one. And I'm always really curious as to what were the restrictions, because a lot of times, a lot of people, even if they are the same faith, they have different restrictions and they have different ages at which they can start watching those movies.
And that's why I say, like, it was kind of a rare case for me, because my parents just didn't want me watching rated R content. That's really it. Mm-hmm. I could watch magic content. I could watch anime, anything I wanted, as long as it wasn't rated R. And I go back and watch things like Justice League and Dragon Ball Z, and I'm like, okay, my parents wanted me to stay away from rated R, but they let me watch this. Dudes beating the crap out of each other. Okay.
It's true. You got a point. And you're in Colorado now, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Born and raised.
Were you? So you and your family were very local. You never moved like super far away, like to another state or anything. So you were always from there, from the moment you were born.
Yes, sir. Born and raised here, Rocky Mountains, not too far away from here. So beautiful nature scene, nice hiking scene, nice fishing scene. I mean, it's really had just about everything I enjoy with the outdoors. So honestly, I've never moved, but I am venturing around to possibly relocate in the next couple years. COVID kind of shut that down, but I have been traveling just to kind of see some other places and see maybe I might want to make a move. Your boy might want to go somewhere else.
Do you have an idea where you want to move, if I may ask?
Yeah, I got a couple places on the list. Seattle, Washington. Love that area. I just don't like the rain that much, but I love the area. Somewhere in Texas, probably Houston. Maybe California. I haven't toured enough, so I want to go to like San Diego, San Francisco. I don't want to be in LA. I think that's a little too busy for me, but somewhere in California. And yeah, those are probably the top 3 places. Maybe Miami, Florida, but that has the same problem as LA. A little too busy. Yeah. I kind of like things where I'm living quiet and then a booming city nearby. Like I don't really like to
Yeah.
be deep in the city, but I like to be kind of close to it just in case.
You like to be able to reach it like a 20-minute car ride or
Yep.
a bus ride or something.
Bingo.
Yeah, I feel it because right now I have that living situation. I technically live in London, but I'm far away, like from the major downtown, the center of the city. So yeah, I totally feel you, and I relate absolutely 100%. So since we're talking about you were always from Colorado, let's talk about you growing up. When you were growing up as a kid, were you the movie kid in your group? Were you all growing up, and were you the geek kid of your group growing up?
So when you imagine a geek, and this is kind of the connotation that they've put on us, so this isn't
Mhm.
me making any assumptions of anyone.
Of
But you
course.
always imagine the kid with the glasses, the braces, and the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That's exactly who I was, man. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched anime,
Yes.
watched Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, movies, all of it, man. Like I was always going to Harry Potter movies. I was always going to watch a Marvel movie. I was always at the movies. I was always watching anime, always playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So yes, I was the ultimate geek. I was in a group of geeks though, so I had friends who also
Nice.
enjoyed these things too. So I wasn't necessarily the geek in a group of people who were not geeks, but I was the geek in
Okay.
a geek circle. So I had Yu-Gi-Oh club in middle school. I went to anime club in middle school where, oh my God, Ren, it was the best thing ever. I mean, just getting pizza, gathering up some pizza and going and watching an anime, 3 or 4 episodes, like animes like Get Backers, D and Angel, and just sitting down and watching these animes that are of questionable quality sometimes, but it's still fun to watch because you got friends and pizza. So yeah, man. I mean, I gamed, I watched like it was always a part of my lifestyle. Now, where I was the geek that wasn't amongst the geeks was in my family. My family typically
Okay.
didn't skew the geeky way, like my cousins that were my age. I'm an only child, so I don't have any siblings. But my cousins, we were very close growing up. They didn't really, they weren't really into the anime. They liked the movies. They weren't really into the anime stuff, though. They weren't really into like the anime Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. And like whenever I was around them, sometimes it would kind of there'd be a bit of a clash because their interests would be different than mine. Like I would always be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh and anime, but I also enjoyed talking about hip-hop music like they enjoyed and things like that. So I kind of soaked in their world as well, but they didn't really play Yu-Gi-Oh cards all the time and things like that. So I kind of brought that to my family, but my friends, man, we were the geekiest geeks in the school, bro.
That's cool because I'm very curious usually because whenever I have a guest, so far at least, it has been yes, this person was the movie or the geek or whatever, and I'm curious to know what that relationship growing up and your formative years is like. But you were a perfect group, but now I'm curious the family dynamic. There was a clash and interests didn't always connect. So how was it like to navigate that, like knowing what you can talk about? Because you're not going to bring anime up if nobody's going to talk about anime. So how was that like?
Yeah, man. So when I was around them, I would just typically like in terms of discussion, I would just talk about hip hop
Mhm.
and things that they could relate to and Disney Channel and stuff like that. But I wouldn't necessarily always talk about anime, or if I did, they wouldn't have no idea what I was talking about. So sometimes I would babble on about Dragon Ball Z and be like, yeah, like I just watched this, and they'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool. But they really didn't know. But at the same time, I think some of them are starting to get more into it now, like Marvel movies and things
Okay.
like that. Now that it has really opened up to the broader audiences, they've really gotten into some more stuff. I mean, but back when I was a kid, yeah, we would just talk hip hop and music videos, MTV, Disney Channel, things like that. But then when I got with my buddy Kyle, who's still my best friend to today, man, we would just talk all things geek, Legend of Zelda, anime. Like it was definitely kind of just like a flip switch a little bit where it'd be like, oh, I know not to not have that conversation as much around my
Mhm.
family, but to have that conversation a little bit more around my friends. My family also did like games though. So I could talk about
Okay.
things like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon,
Nice.
things like that around my family because they still appreciated and enjoyed games and we could play Mario Kart and stuff like that. But yeah, it was mostly just like anime, Yu-Gi-Oh, and we're quite into like those verticals as much.
Okay. I want to get into that the anime club that you mentioned with pizza and a group of friends, but I want to get when we go like full on into anime, because while you're a kid, there's a question I missed until now. That is, what do you remember, if you remember, that it was your first movie that like yes you like movies, but then you watched this one movie and this one movie made you realize, okay, I love this thing over anything else.
Okay, it's gonna sound ridiculous, so get ready.
Okay.
The Lion King, man. Oh my
Oh, that's
gosh.
not ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
That's
The Lion
perfectly
King.
fitting.
I had it's somewhere around here. I had this little Simba that I've had since I've been like 5 or 6, man, and I used to carry him around everywhere. And ever since I've watched The Lion King, it has pretty much been a like for movies. My aunt, she's 11 years older than me, so we were pretty close, sort of close in age.
Huh?
So whenever she came around, and we're still close, whenever she came around, she would be like the cool aunt that I could talk to and hang out with. She would always bring this cool movie with her. I watched Scream with her for the first time. I watched Coming to America with her religiously. Like we used to watch that all the time. And it would just be, she would always bring some cool, interesting movie. And every time she came around, I'd be like, yes, I'm going to get to watch like a new cool movie, because it was just that kind of relationship. We would hang out. She'd be like, yeah, let's pop a movie in. And we watched this really awesome movie. And since that time, man, I've loved movies. I like going to the movie theaters. Some experiences better than others, but I still enjoyed going to the movie theaters all the time. I actually, a little bit of a weird pivot here, but I actually went to the Aurora Shooting Theater a lot. Like that was like my theater. I went there very regularly, like almost every weekend. I can't say every weekend, but it was very, very consistent. And whenever a new Harry Potter movie came out, boom, I'm there at that theater. Whenever a new Marvel movie or another cool action movie or something that I was allowed to see, boom, I'm there. I mean, it was just kind of like, it kind of just became like a regular thing in my life. Just keep going back to the movie theater, seeing a new movie. And yeah, like it's just always been an entertaining media for me ever since I've been probably about 6 years old, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah, for sure. So you and I started around the same age. Do you remember the first movie you saw in a theater?
What was the first I saw in the theater? So I want to say the first I was at was Lion King, but
Okay.
I don't remember that because I was far too young.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. The first one, okay. Another nerdy one to come out. The first one that I just experienced, like remember just experiencing and loving and just absolutely blowing my mind was Pokemon the movie. Like
Oh,
that
nice.
first Pokemon movie was just so good, man. And I'm thinking
Yeah.
around that time, I think there was a Winnie the Pooh movie out. Like I know there have been movies before then, but that is just the first one I remember just geeking the heck out at, like just being so involved in the screen and just loving every second of that movie. It was that Pokemon movie, man. That was like the first big movie theater experience I had.
Yeah, and when you watched the Pokemon movie, were you already a fan of Pokemon, or was that like the first? Okay, you
Oh
were,
yeah.
yeah.
Ash Ketchum, Pikachu, man. Look, I started with Pokemon Red, and it was
Yeah.
one after another. Silver, Diamond, all like that's actually the last one I was Diamond and Pearl. So I really want to get Sword and
Really?
Shield to get back into
Yeah.
some Pokemon.
You want to
But
get you want to get Sword and Shield, you want to get Sun and Moon, you want to get
yes,
Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
that was
Third
Black and
generation is the
White. And they
best.
kind of
Black and White, yes, and then there's Black and White 2. There's Black
oh
2 and White. Yeah, I think that's it because there's 2 Black and White. But I can remember if it, but I think it is like Black 2 and White 2, but I'll take a look into that after watching the show, after the show, and I'll message you because we were going down the rabbit hole now.
yeah.
Let's advance a few years now. You're very young, but now let's go from middle school. We talked about, let's go into high school. Did the group of friends ever change? Did some of it change? How was that? And taking into account who you are as you were in a group of geeks and movie geeks, and how did that change at all in high school?
Yeah, so in middle school, I was in band, so I had always interacted with music kids, and I played trumpet. And throughout my life, I've
Nice.
sporadically played piano as well. Up to about this was about when I got serious about music. But when I got into high school, I immediately connected with the nerds, but I knew and interacted with everyone because my high school was so
Okay.
small, Ren. I want to say my graduating class was about 40 people max. And then the school as a
Wow.
whole, I want to say was about, when I was there, it might be different now, but when I was there, it was about 150 kids in total. I'm talking all
Okay.
grades.
Wow.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
everybody knew each other because it was such a
Okay.
small school. And I went to a high school where they really pushed community. So we didn't even call our teachers Mr. and Mrs. We actually called them by their first name. I
That's
know all my
awesome.
teachers by their first names. Mark was my English teacher at the time. Still call him Mark. I never called him Mr. last name, but it was
Yeah, but now it makes sense.
right. And it was definitely a cool experience because they really
Mhm.
wanted to foster a community in a school. Like they really didn't want it to feel like, oh, you're coming to school and button up and things like that. Like, no, they
Yeah.
really made us feel like we were a part of a community. We actually had these special classes called crew. And in these classes, you are with someone from a different grade. And I think there was about 11 or 12 of us per class, but your crew was made up of people from other grades. So it would be like maybe me and two other freshmen, and then there would be sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And we were all told, like, look out for each other. You guys are like each other's brothers and sisters. Like, you guys work together. And we would do team building exercises and things like that, and really just like interact and just kind of practice people skills and things like that together. And through those courses, we would like help each other with other classes and things like that. Like some people obviously were talented in math. I was not one of those people, so I would seek their help. And it was just like a cool way to foster community. So I knew everybody in the school. And it was this experience where you might go up to a jock in a big high school and it might be like, oh, move out of the way, nerd, whatever. But in my
Yeah.
school, you would go up to a jock and it'd be like, what's up, man? Like, yeah, like let's chat it up with about whatever, because it was more about a community feel than it was about being separated and into different groups. Now, that's not to say that that didn't happen, because it is high
Of
school and
course.
things like
Yeah.
that do happen. But I kind of just interacted with everyone. Definitely was still the geek. we had a Yu-Gi-Oh crew where we would get together
Nice.
after school, play some Yu-Gi-Oh. But I also interacted heavily with the music kids. And it just, I mean, it was a community feel. So I interacted with everyone, still stuck with the geeks for the most part, watching anime and such. But really, we would interact between each other. And that was one really cool thing about high school, is my high school was so different that it was just easy to interact with everybody.
Yeah, it sounds awesome actually. Like I never heard of a school at all like that, much less a high school where it's usually the worst. Like for me, it was the worst. So no, but that's awesome, man. I'm envious. But now you brought up, as you talked about your high school years, you brought up something really interesting, that is you're very involved in music. Now I want to know how that started, when that started, who started to get you into it.
Yeah, man. So no, I got to give him more credit. My dad, man. I mean,
Yeah.
him and my uncles, they loved music, man. They would buy new records, they would buy new CDs all the time. And yeah, like I would cruise down the street with my dad and we would bump some hip hop music. And it was just a fun experience as a kid. And like those cousins, we would watch music videos all the time, like MTV back when it was actually a music channel and transitioning
Yeah.
into being a reality station. It still had those music video blocks that we would watch. So it was really cool and interesting to dive into music as well as a kid. And I was I want to say about 7 years old when I got my first piano lessons, dropped them, ran. I'll be honest, I was like, oh my gosh, it's not that it was even too hard, but it was just that my interests were leaning other ways. So it was like I would
Mhm.
practice, and admittedly, even as a kid, it wasn't that hard to start connecting the dots when I was young, for like a C chord at the time and things like that, learning scales. basic songs. It wasn't too hard for me, but I went into trumpet. I didn't stick with piano. I went into trumpet. Middle school, I was in band playing trumpet. I took guitar classes in middle school. And then when I got to high school, that's when I noticed, like, well, I've played music all this time. Why not just try to like actually play some songs and stuff? So yeah, like I formed a couple bands in high school. We recorded some crappy little garage songs and things like that. Played and jammed with people. I mean, music has also been a cool and fun part of my life. This is flashing ahead a little bit, but I studied music in college. So it has all kind of cultivated into multiple interests, and one of them being music, man. Like I've just always been into music, playing, listening, studying. It's just always been so fascinating to me. Just like movies, it's like this, it's two different pieces of media and they're just so fascinating. And when you get to a certain point, it's almost hard not to analyze. Like when you see a new piece of media, like a new movie or TV show, or you listen to a new song, it's almost hard not to analyze and be like, oh my God, these chords, like they're so, what are these chords? What are they using? Like what that bass line is amazing. It's almost like you just kind of just break it down and it's impossible to get away from that. But yeah, in high school, that was the time when I decided to kind of nail down and focus. I got a voice and piano teacher and we just cranked through lessons every
too.
Yeah, I do. I don't like singing, man. I'll admit, I wanted to be a singer for a bit, and then I was like, I don't like this. I like instruments. I like playing. I like playing guitar. I like playing piano. I prefer not to sing. So I always tell people I'm down to sing backup vocals, but I don't want to be the lead vocalist anymore. That was like that was like what I wanted to do when I got to high school. Like I was like, yeah, I want to play keys and sing. And then I was like, nope, I will much rather just play the keys, just play guitar, just play bass. I'm good with that. I don't want to be the lead singer, man. Nope.
No, I feel you. I feel you, and let's put a pin on that because I want to ask you about that when another question is brought up. Before we move on, and we're in high school now, but let's again go back a little bit because before we move on, I want to ask about anime. How did it start? Which one was the first? And how did that group that you talk about come to be?
Okay, so man, anime. Whew. Oh my goodness.
It's a rabbit hole. Here we go.
It is. Okay, so yep, when I was a kid, when I saw Pokemon for the first time, I was just fascinated. I loved I loved Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Charmander. I loved following Ash's adventures. I loved the individual Pokemon themselves. So much that my dad got me a Game Boy and Pokemon Red when I was 6 years old for Christmas. So I dived into not only anime, but video games around the same time as well, which is a whole different discussion. But Pokemon, it was just so fascinating to me. And then Digimon. So it was like, okay, I had two animes to go back and forth. I have creatures and a cool main character that I can follow. Awesome. Love Digimon. Watched Power Rangers, watched Dragon Ball Z. Toonami was a huge anime block here. I don't know if you guys had it there, but it was a huge anime block.
Yeah, we don't have it, but due to you and following other American people that talk about film and such, I know of the concept of Toonami.
Oh my God, man. Let me tell you, Ram, whenever we got off the bus after school, the first thought in our heads was, okay, see you, new Dragon Ball Z is coming out tonight. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Had to be there, man. Plopped right in front of the TV, waiting for that new Dragon Ball Z episode. Rurouni Kenshin. Let's see, there were so many anime. Nice. Gundam, like they had a nice little block of anime that would just run for about 3 hours in the evening, like from 7 to 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It would just be one episode of anime after another. And it was such a good lineup. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. Dragon Ball Z was huge. Tenchi Muyo was a big one when I was younger. Let's see, there were tons of different iterations of Gundam. Like probably about 2, 3, 4 running all at the same time. Like they loved Gundam. Also, flashing back a little, back when I was younger in a day camp, there were more girls than guys. So we would actually always watch either Cardcaptor Sakura or Sailor Moon. It was one of the two, man. So it was like, I didn't want to watch Sailor Moon ever until I started getting into it from that. And then I was like, dude, this is actually pretty tight. Like, I actually liked Sailor Moon. And I didn't really know what anime was until I hit 5th grade, because I would just watch these shows, and then I finally hit one of those Scholastic book fairs, and I bought a book called How to Draw Manga, and I was like, oh, so this
Oh,
actually has like a name. And so I figured out it was manga with the written and reading comic version, and then the anime is like the actual animated piece. So then I kind of put 2 and 2 together and learned, okay, these are anime. But yeah, man, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z. I watched Princess Mononoke at a young age, and that also
yes.
hooked into. I mean, it was just like one thing after another, and all these shows that were coming out at the time just really drew me in, man. I was like, I had to be at the TV on Saturday mornings to catch those new Pokemon, new Digimon, new Power Rangers. And then on the weekdays, it was new Dragon Ball Z, new Gundam, new Inuyasha, new Yu Yu Hakusho. Oh my God, Yu Yu Hakusho. Whew. New Yu Yu Hakushos, Gundam, all that stuff, man. I mean, anime has a special place in my heart, man. When I was in elementary school, I used to actually draw manga. And one of my distant cousins, not one that lived here, but a distant cousin, also drew manga. So we just, whenever there was a family reunion, we'd be like, hey, the 2 anime guys, let's chat. And it was always like a fun discussion, catching up about like the latest anime. And then middle school was getting into manga and like diving into like some of the reading version of it. I remember the very first manga I bought with my allowance ran was Jing, King of Bandits, which I think an anime version is King of Bandits Jing. But it was about this like one bandit, this vagabond that went around stealing the most valuable things in that earth. And he was like he was a protagonist, so he would steal for good. So a little bit of a Robin Hood-esque character, but he would go around with this bird named Kier that sat on his shoulder, and Kier was a talking crow, so he would always talk shit.
Oh, nice.
And I would actually always hide the mature rating from my mom, so I would hand her the book. Like, I'm trying to see if I can find it, but I would just like hand her the book, and I would like cover the M. So my mom was, and she would buy it, and then boom, I was good because I had to have my mom there to buy an M book. But I would just flip through those, and yeah, Kier was cussing and shit like that. But it was always so fun because he would steal stuff, and then he would get like into this what seemed like to be like a really troublesome moment in the episode or in the chapter, and then Kier would actually fuse onto his arm, and he would say Kier Royale and shoot this big blast, and it would like get him out of whatever trouble he was in. And man, I just followed that manga, and that let me dive a little bit more into manga, which hit Shonen Jump. Once I hit Shonen Jump, then it was into Naruto. Man, it's just, there's so much with anime, man. I mean, and it's been a fantastic experience getting to see how much anime and manga have grown since then. I mean, I used to collect the Shonen Jump magazines, and yeah, like the drawings were great, don't get me wrong, but they're nothing compared to what they were today. Like, it was just cool getting into that style and into anime and manga. And I'm just loving seeing like new anime, like My Hero Academia. Oh, what's that other one coming out this year? There's plenty more coming out, but man, like My Hero Academia is one that I'm religiously following, both anime and manga. And yeah, man, I mean, it's just, anime is awesome. Like, yeah, I love it, man.
It is. Before I forget, do you watch an anime? And if you don't, you should do reactions on your channel for this after you do Supergirl, The Promised Neverland.
I have watched a few episodes.
Oh, okay,
I know I need to catch up. Because people have really been recommending me about The Promised Neverland. I know slightly what it's about, but man, I've heard nothing but good things. Oh, Demon Slayer was the other one I was thinking about that's coming out this year too.
I haven't seen that one, but it's here on Netflix as well, so I'm going to start. It's one of my favorite studio. Yeah. And now, since we're talking about anime, we're talking about your formative years in high school. You brought up college. Let's go into that. What was your major, and what did you follow? And are you done with college?
Yeah, college is done. I might go back for a master's, friend, but I've been enjoying life outside of school.
Yeah. So you have a bachelor's.
Yeah, I've got a bachelor's in music with a focus in music business and piano. And
Okay.
I really just, college was fun for me. I mean, I played music. I enjoy music. I watch concerts. I still go to concerts. Unfortunately, coronavirus has stopped that. But like pretty much my college years were really just growing as a musician and growing as a leader. And really, I when I was in college, I was in this program called PAL, which stood for Peer Advocate Leader. And I would help new students that came into the college come in and navigate school and the transition from high school to college and kind of navigate that, because when I entered, I had a pal, but I never really, I guess I had a pal and I had somebody to help me with the transition, but I kind of took on that emotional transition myself. And so I decided I want to help somebody else with that transition. So that's when I took that up, the Peer Advocate Leader program, and kind of did that for most of my college years just to help kids get in. But also, I was a music major, so I would jam with kids around campus. I was stuck in the piano rooms all the time, learning a new song, a new scale, something new. I went through piano courses, and I actually skipped piano 3 and 4 and jumped directly into this piano's master's class. And whenever we would learn something new, man, we would finish class, we would learn, I'd run right up to the piano practice rooms and just start practicing, man. Like, how can I learn this? How can I learn this? And I would just either learn it, or I would be like, you know what? I'm going to move on, come back to it, and then learn it once I can learn some other things like gliding scales and things like that. But yeah, college was fun, man. I mean, I still watched anime, still went to the movies. I actually took a couple film courses, because the way my program worked was we had 3 different focuses. So the music program you could be a performance focus, you could be a business focus, or you could be a recording focus. And depending on which track you get is what courses will follow. But you would actually get a mix of all of them. So even though I was a business focus, I would still get recording classes. I would still get some performance classes, which is the piano courses I was talking about. I would still get those classes. But it was a nice program that wrapped everything in. And you also got a few courses from another art media major. So they would have you take at least 2 courses in film or in what was the other one? Oh, digital design. You could do film, digital design. You could even do painting, drawing. It was like they really wanted to incorporate another art, because their whole philosophy was just that like art and media always intersect. So it's good to have like at least a base knowledge of one other art as well, aside from the one you did. And of course, loving film and movies, I was like, here's my opportunity to take some film courses. So I took this course called Introduction to Visual Culture, which was an incredible course. I mean, it made me look at movies completely differently, because up until then, Ren, I was just watching movies for fun. I was just watching movies like, oh my God, Avengers, and that was around the time when I took that course. But I was just looking at films for fun. This course actually showed me what it means to watch a film and the different building blocks it takes to create a film and the impact that movie has had on our culture as a whole. And so it really introduced me to film criticism, and it really introduced me into filmmaking as well. I personally don't make films, but it did introduce me into that realm of people who do make films, because I made a couple friends out of those classes, and they were actually film majors. I was the only music major in that class. So it was like being surrounded by kids who were just geeks about film. So like whenever a kid would like whisper about something like, I don't know, like some new film or some movie, I would just turn around and be like, dude, I love that movie, man. Like, yes, that's such a good movie. But the way that they would talk about it, Rain, is the way we talk about movies now. I didn't talk about movies like that back then. So I would just like hear what they were talking about and the different ways that they would dissect and break apart a film, how they would talk about the way a film was shot, these different kind of shots. And they would talk about the director and the direction of movies and things like that. And it's what got me. I blame that course into what got me into film criticism, because that's what really introduced me to looking at films differently. So that course was such a fun course to just dissect films and break them down and how they impact our culture today. And then I took another film course that kind of actually compared the psychology of characters in film. Like it really compared that to their novel versions. And so we watched Fight Club, We watched a couple of other movies that also have book counterparts, and we would dissect the book and the film and talk about the psychology of the characters and how well the book was adapted from the film. And man, that was my love for David Fincher right there, man. I was like, dude, I love Fight Club. So after I saw Fight Club, I went down a rabbit hole, man. I watched Seven. I watched, I think back then, that's when the Facebook movie had come out, The Social Network. I want to say that's back around. No. Maybe what other Fincher movie was out at that? There was another Fincher movie that was out at the time, and I remember going to see that.
What time was this? What time
this was 2013, 2012 or 2013.
So, Gone Girl came out in 2014.
It might have been after that course I went and saw Gone Girl.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was like, I need to jump down a rabbit hole of this guy's films. I need to. And man, like it just started, those two courses together are what started like my love and appreciation for film. Like it started me like really looking at movies differently. And I was just like, dude, film is such a beautiful art form that I hadn't really looked at it that way before, like criticizing it. So it was like a cool experience to take a couple of film courses to really learn about film and then go back to music classes and learn about how important music is in film and just like really marry the two media together. It was just a really fun experience, man. Like I enjoy playing music, practicing music, but man, something about dissecting films and looking at films, I was like, dude, I love this. Love it. Like I went to class happy as hell every day.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And it sounds like at every class, you were always learning something you were genuinely interested in. There was, from what I'm getting at least, there doesn't seem to have been a class that, I'm not so interested in this part of music or of film. It seems like you were always wanting to learn about that part of the process, so to speak.
Yeah, man. I mean, every course was kind of a different building block into all of it because we would have, and don't get me wrong, there were some courses I didn't like. They made us take math courses. They made us take a couple science courses. Those general education courses. I'm sure you guys do it too.
In high school.
Huh?
I said goodbye to that in high school, thankfully.
Man, lucky you, man. They had us. I want to say about of all my college courses, I want to say there was about 15 courses that were like literature, math, chemistry. I'm like, why are we doing this? So we're music majors. Man, Ren, I couldn't stand it. I had to learn. And what was nice is I actually got to take a kind of basic math course. So I skipped that rope a little bit. But science, like intro to chemistry 1 and 2, I was like, what am I doing here? But they try to just give you a basic knowledge of all the subjects. I understand what they're trying to do, but it was just like, oh my gosh, I did not want to sit and learn about cells, Ren. Like that was the last thing I wanted to do. I was like, can I please not be learning about this stuff, please? So like the chemistry courses, the math courses, English was great. I loved writing. Okay. But everything else, I just, I could not stand that stuff. But man, whenever it was a music class on the list, it was like, yes, get to go play piano or get to go learn something new about music. And then music business, what was cool is they incorporated 6 business classes into our curriculum. So we got some actual general business courses as well. I know I did marketing, I did social media marketing, and a couple of other business courses too. And it was those were nice too, to get a nice foundation on how to like actually market yourself and how to actually start a business and run a business and things like that. I took an entrepreneurship course. I mean, the business side of it too was pretty important. And then there was like music business courses that really navigated the music industry. And I know that there was like a concert industry course. There was music law, which actually I kind of almost wish they made just a basic law course, because the way that the professor would teach the course was he would take us through these music cases and then talk legal terms a little bit. And so we kind of got a small understanding of legal systems, but that was another one where I was just like, huh? Music law. I almost wish it was just basic law. So at that point we could just go into regular basic boring law stuff. But it was just cool to navigate all these different worlds. Like, I admit, the University of Colorado Denver, which is my alma mater, they did take us through a lot of different verticals. At least that program that I was in really just hit so many different sections of just things like math, English, had to do all that. And then of course, music and down to the wire of music business and basic business, and then also film. I mean, like I admit, man, it was a fun time learning. And hey, college parties, they're fun. Like, what can I say?
College life for sure. And I want to touch on something you briefly mentioned, because when you were talking about the film courses, say you never made one. Is there an interest to maybe one day, maybe even if only for one time, to be involved, maybe to produce something, to write something, to direct something?
Oh yeah, man. So I take it back. I did have a high school film course, and I guess I don't really
Okay.
count that as making like a film, Ren. Like we made these little shorts. Do you know the show Robot Chicken?
I know. I'd never seen it. Or no, I take that back. I did watch. I think I've watched one random of the superhero episodes that they do.
Yeah, so they do like little shorts based off pop culture. It's just like a play on it, like totally just satirizing these things.
Yeah.
But me and my friends made this round of videos. Those geeky phrases in high school, we made these like videos called Cyborg Turkeys, and we would just do little segments. We did a Naruto one, we did a Dragon
Nice.
Ball Z one, we did some other segments, and we would just do like these. They were ridiculous, Rian. Like it was just like grab a camera, shoot and go, and we would just do dumb stuff. I remember my buddy Gabe one. We shot of him like sneaking around the corner trying to jump scare somebody. So we did like a parody on jump scares. Like it was just stupid stuff, man. So I guess I have shot some stuff, and then we did a music video for a chemistry project. It was the most ridiculous thing ever, man. We made this song called The Chemistry of Glass, and we like broke down different components of glass. And it was this little like music video where we were just sitting in sunglasses, rapping the lyrics. And it was just ridiculous high school stuff. But when I got to college, I didn't really shoot anything. I do currently work as a digital producer for a TV show. So I shoot content for I shoot content for YouTube and Facebook. So most of the content that I shoot is purposed for YouTube and Facebook, but I have shot content for the show before, and some of the segments that I have shot have aired on TV. So I've shot some TV stuff. I've produced TV things. I've written scripts for TV. I just haven't done it for film. And I wouldn't mind being involved. I'll admit, I wouldn't mind being involved. Like typically my wheelhouse is content creation and creating content for digital platforms. But dude, like like if the opportunity ever presented itself, I'd be down to be involved. I had a friend that I was talking to for a little while who kind of had some film projects fall through the cracks a little. So I was like slightly involved, but never to the point of like production, things like that. Like I've never personally been involved in directing like a film or anything like that. Yeah. But I've shot, I shoot YouTube videos, but I've shot TV packages. I've shot stuff for TV. So dude, I would definitely be down. I think my strong suit is probably cinematography. Like I like shooting, I like cameras, I like doing stuff like that. Probably not so much directing. I don't know if I'm the best at getting the actors to bring the best out of themselves, but I think I'm really good visually with the camera.
Well, if you ever need help with directing, you know who to call, my friend.
Yeah, my man, Ren Geekness. Get him on the phone.
But since you brought it up, let's finally transition into YouTube. How did that start? What first gave you that idea that I could do this? I wanted to do this.
So I got out of college, and Ren, let me tell you, it was not what I expected. I went and worked for Dish Network.
It never is.
yeah, man. I went and worked for Dish Network, and let me tell you, that was a slave ship. I training was a month. Hey. And I was actually supposed to be part of their social media team, but because I couldn't actually start when they wanted me to, because I still had to graduate, they put me in the sales team. So whatever, I was like, hey, I have a job at the college. Cool. Man, let me tell you, that was the worst experience I've ever had professionally, because it was, oh my God. First of all, I'm just going to start off by saying there were no windows. So there was no sunshine,
What?
no sunshine in the building. There were windows out in the cafeteria. There were windows in the customer service side. There were no windows on the sales floor. None. It was just this red wall like wrapping around everyone. So there was no exposure to sunlight until you walked outside of the sales floor. So that was a little discouraging. The first experience I remember was walking into the sales floor and seeing a sales leader scream at his team to get more sales. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know if we were supposed to see that or not, but it was not the best experience to see on your first week there. But I remember seeing that experience, going through the training and just really learning that stuff, but not really taking any pride in it, not really enjoying it, not really loving it. Like, I was like, it was weird. It was kind of one of those things where I was like, I miss school because at least I was doing stuff I enjoyed. Dude, I hated it. I absolutely 100% hated it. I got 3 weeks in, seeing more sales leaders shouting at their team. The CEO of the company actually came and visited, and all he did was just like lecture people that they need more sales and things like that. And so I got to week 2, and they put us on the phones, threw us in the fire, man. Like we had at least had a week of training, whatever, but we barely even fucking knew these products, and they threw us right in. Yeah, let's see if you guys can take a couple calls. Like, so we were essentially at that point a team responsible of getting sales. Like there was no like, oh yeah, you're training, which I guess they kind of were like, since you're training, you have a little bit of leeway, but we were responsible for sales at that moment. We were like responsible for numbers, and we were training. And what was weird is the whole time there was this dude there, and we got to like week 3, and they're like, oh, like you're not actually hired in the company. We didn't call you back. And I was like, really? This guy just spent like a couple weeks of his life, and you guys didn't even hire him? But that's another story. Wow. But I got on the phone, man. And I actually got on the phone with this lady who was working at Wendy's while we were on the phone. She was like, sir, I'm going to need to put you on hold real quick. 1 second. Put the phone down. I heard somebody ordering a double cheeseburger with extra bacon. I'm like, what is going on? And then when she picked the phone back up, she was like, I'm sorry, I'm like in the middle of work. Like, just give me 1 more second. Hearing all these people ordering in the background. And it was that moment where I was like, I don't belong here, man. I don't belong here. So I quit. 3 weeks in, I was like, there's no way. I ended up getting a job full-time at a bank. And while I was at that bank, kept on attending movie premieres. And then I figured out, I was like, this is what I like. I like movies, man. Like, I've always loved movies. Clicked. Yeah, like, I'm like, this is it. This is what I like. So me and a friend, after the Rogue One premiere, actually sat down, I took an iPhone, shot a live stream together, and we just started a show called Comic Convos on Facebook. And every week we would just get together, talk about the latest in geek. But it was honestly just to sit and chat. It was like nothing really huge. But in the meantime, I grabbed this book called How to Become a Film Critic, the World's Greatest Job, or something like that. I actually still have it, still read it, still reference it, because it actually taught me, Ren, how to break down films. It taught me how to
show me that.
Yeah. Actually, it's called 5 Stars, and it's a really cool book. Like I have flipped through it religiously throughout the last 5 years probably, and man, it just teaches you the different building blocks of film and like how to watch a movie, and like when you're doing a review, what things you want to hit and what details you want to hit, like cinematography, direction, acting, every production, like everything that went into a movie. It kind of just like spells it out for you. So I've been like reading that book, and I was like, dude, I'm really like, this film critic stuff, I really want to get into it. So from there, I started reading books. There's one, How to Watch a Movie. I'm not entirely sure of the author because I rented it from the library, but it's like how to watch a movie. Yeah. And it like broke down like even aspect ratios and stuff. I'm like, dang, this is really going into it. So it just broke down all these things on becoming a film critic. And I started by writing, did some freelance writing for a while. And then once we started shooting that show, I was just doing that for fun, man. Like I was just doing that. I built a little bit of an Instagram presence. And then when I got to work for the TV show I worked for, they actually saw like my freelance writing tenure and the stuff that I had been doing writing wise. And they were like, wow, like this is a cool portfolio. We want to bring you in for an interview and actually I didn't even get brought in for an interview. They were just like, actually, you have 10 minutes. Like, do you just have some time to talk right now? And I was like, yeah, like let's chat. And this is while I was working at the bank. And they were like, yeah, like, so we like your portfolio. What do you know how to do? And so I just took them through like, oh, I know how to Instagram market, because at this point in my adult life, I had been through several internships, had learned a lot about social media marketing and things like that. So I had gained those skills and knowledge through all of those things. So I had took them through all that. Like, hey, I wrote for my my school newspaper. I did these internships. I actually helped a guy, John Kim, great man, who built this brand called the University of Rock. Me and him did some Instagram stuff and built his small Instagram following, like 2K to 200,000. I think they're at like 500,000 now. And honestly, Rand, it was some dog work, let me tell you, but it helped. It really blew him up. It made his company and established him as the University of Rock now. And it was really what it was, man, was just us going to people's profiles, and they were doing shreds on Instagram, like shredding guitars. And we'd be like, hey, do you mind sending us this video? Would you like a shot to be featured on our page? And these were guys that had like 100 followers, and we had like at the time 2,500. So we would go around to like 40 of those videos a day. People would submit, and then we would pick one out of the people who would submit, and they would naturally follow the page, things like that. So it blew up like 200,000. So those experiences, I brought that to that interview, and they were like, yeah, like, we wanted to hire you as our Instagram guy, but unfortunately we have hired somebody else already for that. But how would you feel about being a digital production assistant? And they listed out all the duties that I had for that position. And I was like, sure, like, why not? So through that, I still work there today. It's called Daily Blast Live. We shoot here in Denver, but we air nationally in 40 different markets. So it's been a blessing to actually have stumbled into TV really by just putting in an application, which is something in school that they were like, it's not just putting in an application, it's networking, which I actually did network. So I'm going to backtrack a slight bit. I did network a little bit because I actually put in an application, and I looked on LinkedIn, and I looked for somebody involved with the company directly. And I reached out to a digital producer who still works there as well. Her name is Kelly. I reached out to her and I said, hey, my name's Leo. Nice to meet you. I see you went to the University of Colorado as well. Like, this is awesome. Hey, I'm also an alum of the University of Colorado. I actually just applied for this job that you're working at, and I wanted to see if I could follow up on the position. She sent that straight to our boss at the time, and like, yeah, that's when I got the call. So I got involved in TV, and it was that moment, Ren, when I knew, I was like, damn, I like video. I like movies. This is what I love. I love Marvel. I have been writing reviews at that point for about a year. And I went into that, and I learned how to shoot. I learned how to edit. And I had already done these things in childhood. I did a little bit of animating when I was younger. But it was like I went into that. And once I went into that and saw how fun it was to like shoot and edit and put all these things together, I was like, this is what I love. This is what I like doing. So through that tenure, I've done several things there. I have written for the show. I've shot segments for the show. I mostly, like I said, now I create content for the YouTube and Facebook platforms. And for right now, since we're all of us are virtual, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, but we're all virtual, and I have been doing a lot of work on the company's YouTube. So I've gotten a lot of exposure to learn YouTube on the back end of a company. And it was through these experiences, man, that brought me to loving YouTube. So I would just shoot little movie reviews, and I actually shared my first shot movie review was of Kingsman 2, and I shared it probably a couple of months ago, and I was like, this is my first review, dude. I was in front of the camera like this. So Kingsman was a fun, I was like, woo, man, I definitely evolved since that, but it was a rough time. But like, I shot these little videos, and again, it was for fun, and I was just posting them on Instagram and Facebook. I felt like at the time I was not good enough for YouTube. I don't know what it was with me. I was like, I see these other YouTube channels, and this was back, I want to say 2015, 2016. I see these other YouTube channels. I'm like, I'm just not good enough, man. Like, I don't have a good audio setup. I don't have a good camera setup. I would tell younger Leo now, like, no, upload to YouTube. But back then I was like, let's just keep doing comic convos and blah, 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 blah. And then I finally, in 2018, I started Geekly Goods, which was, oh my God, dude, what a ridiculous journey this has been. So that started out as a t-shirt company, Rand. I was just making geek t-shirts. I was just like, I want to just sell some t-shirts because I'm also a thrifter. I also like to resell. I'm into retail arbitrage. So I was like, let's do this. Like anime, when anime's coming out, we'll try to make shirts based off of that. Way too hard to run. There was no way I could do a t-shirt company. Those people who can run one, I applaud you. My friend at the time who was involved at the time, he was like, yo, how about we just make a YouTube video? What do you think about that? And I was like, why not? Let's do it. So I made a video, everything you need to know for Titans. And that was the first season of Titans because I love Teen Titans, as you know.
Yeah, you do. You do love them.
Yeah, I sure do. I made a video about like that series of Teen Titans and all the things that come with that, the comics. I just reference all those things, and I was like, here's who the Teen Titans are, and here's how you know them before going into the first season. Then after that, I just sporadically did videos. I did reviews. This amazing company, Allied Integrated Marketing, they put on movie screenings for the major studios here. They reached out to me. Actually, I reached out to them, but they reached back out to me. And they said, hey, like, come in. Like, yeah, we'd love to have you, like, cover reviews and do stuff like that. So now I attend the premieres through them, then attending premiere screenings, did reviews. And like I said, it was nothing really serious until this year. I just kind of threw up reviews and was like, oh, yeah, like, this is right on. Like, I enjoy doing this. And then this year, something just, like, a fire just lit in me, man. Or I guess last year, God, the pandemic, man. Yeah. Like, this year feels like a blur. But I just was like, dude, I love YouTube. So actually, every single week, I would just watch a new how-to YouTube video and just like how to do YouTube, how to grow on YouTube, thumbnails, things like that, titles and meta descriptions, tags, all that. Like I would just learn those things while being at home and having a little bit of time. I lucked out and not a job, but a freelance gig over at the Geek Bomb YouTube channel ran by Maud Garrett.
Yeah.
Got to actually run her social media for 6-7 months, and man, it was a eye-opening experience, man. Like I got to really hit the back end of that YouTube channel and just kind of learn what it is to do YouTube and to actually grow social media channels. And now, man, I'm like, I want to be a full-time content creator. I actually just bought the Think Media YouTube Clarity Blueprint. It's a YouTube starter kit course. And it came with the YouTube Clarity Blueprint, 50 ideas to jumpstart your YouTube channel. So you might see some different content here soon. And then like one other one, I think it was like a checklist of things that you need before you shoot. And I've just been going through that, man. And I've loved YouTube. I like doing live streams. I've been doing movie reviews for a while. So I love reviewing movies, love doing these reactions, trailer reactions. I just love creating content on this platform. And people have nagged me a little bit. And well, you should get to Twitch. You should do TikTok because it's got an algorithm. I'm like, okay, I understand. And I understand.
One thing at a time.
What's that? Yeah, one at a time.
One thing at a time. Yeah.
And that's what I was like, I really want to focus on YouTube. And then the Geekly Goods blog, I've got contributors over there who write, and we're like a nice little group too that we chat on Twitter and we write for the blog. And yeah, man, it's been a fun, amazing little opportunity here on YouTube. Like I've loved it, man. Honestly, I have loved it. Like YouTube has been so fun meeting people like you, Real James, Mama's Geeky, Dave Lee Down Under. I mean, it's just been a fantastic Zach Pope. Dude, I could just name them one by one. Just all the fantastic YouTubers I've met on here. Movie Files, Elliot Hakuna Matata, Steph from Minute Movie Pop, who I do a show with now. I mean, it's just been a pleasure, really, seeing other people create content on this platform and creating it too. Like, it's fascinating, Ren. Like, I love YouTube. I spend a lot of time on YouTube. Sometimes maybe a little too much time.
Yeah.
And it's I'll spend on the movie part and on other areas of YouTube too. For a little while I was watching anti-MLM videos. Because I'm big. I'm not really about the multi-level marketing, but I'm not gonna take a dump on that. But I'm just saying, like, it's all kinds of different content creators and little pockets of YouTube that I've traveled across, and I've just been like, dude, this is amazing. This platform is amazing.
For sure. And let me tell you, with all the sincerity possible, for someone who didn't start that long ago, you're crushing it like you just don't see that happening with people, and you're doing it. So
I appreciate that,
congratulations on
bro.
that.
I appreciate that, man. It's been a fun experience being on this platform. I'm passionate about it now. I really
But
like it.
now but now let me ask you about the future. Because I asked you one question and you just took us on the journey, and I thank you for that. Because now we're up to date, and now I want to ask you about the future. Tell me three goals, if you can, if you can come up with three goals you want to achieve in the next few years. When I say few years, let's say 3 years. So three goals for the next 3 years.
For the next 3 years, okay, 3 goals. Continue to build my YouTube channel. I want to get to at least 10K subscribers plus. That's in the next 3 years. I want to build a community, man. Like
Yeah.
what I see for Geekly Goods is that I want a community where we can all chat geek, man. Like that's what I love about Geekly Goods is that it's for me it's a community thing. It's not necessarily, and I don't mean to, add numbers, but I just want to build a platform. I want to build a
Hmm.
platform here on Geekly Goods. So I want to build a platform there. That's one of them. Number two, potentially, I got a little research to do, but potentially go back for a master's degree. So that's something in
Okay.
personal life. And then get in shape, man. Like really just build this platform, potentially go back to school, get in shape. Those are my 3 goals. And then I guess if it's just YouTube focused, is to really just continue reviewing movies, maybe even cover more junkets and get to go to
Yeah.
some of the bigger premieres like that. Get some of those invitations. That'd be tight. And then
Yeah,
just
for sure.
grow the community. Like for me, it's just really a communal thing here. Like I'm just so interested in talking about this 24/7. And if it's possible, Rand, I want to do this full time, man. Like I want
Yeah.
to be a YouTuber full time. And I know that's a goal for a lot. I know it's a tough goal to reach, but it's something that I want to eventually get to like that. And I know it's not something that's, I'm knocking on the door of tomorrow. Heck, I put a 5-year stamp on it and said, in 5 years, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
So be full-time on YouTube, grow the community and the platform, and start covering some press junkets, doing some interviews and things like that. And I know the opportunities are there, but I'm kind of shy. So I'm like really building up and then really just doing some more content, man. Like some more content, building the platform, and working at this full time. If that opportunity
Yeah.
presents itself, I really want to go for that. And that's why I put the 5-year stamp on it, because I know YouTube is not anything quick. I don't expect quick results. I expect what I've been told all my life is you put one little thing into it every day and it grows smaller every single day. One little thing and it can all grow. And that's
Hmm.
what's most important in my opinion. It's, everybody wants to talk about the beginning of the race and the end of the race. Nobody wants to talk about the actual race itself. It's about the journey
Yeah.
and it's about getting there. And that's going to take some time. And I'm willing to put in that time. Also, I need some more geek stuff, man.
Absolutely. And speaking
I need some more Funkos. I need some more. I need to start physical collecting more. I actually have quite a bit of physical stuff. I just need to set up. Like I need to get like a shelf and stuff.
Yeah. 100%. And you talked about journey, and you brought up the get in shape, and I wanted to talk to you about that because just yesterday you and I were talking about that. How did you get into fitness? Is it a recent thing, and what is your goal just in fitness? Just get healthy, or do you have a more specific thing in mind at all?
Oh, Ren, let's chat, my man. So back when I was younger, growing up, I was in the nerdy group, but I was not the skinny one. I
Yeah.
was actually near 300
Okay.
pounds by the time I got to
Wow.
sophomore year. And I decided I needed to change. I was typically picked on, especially in middle school, not so much high school, but middle school, I was definitely picked on for my weight. And so because of that, man, I was like, dude, I'm sick of carrying the weight around. And this is nothing to people, who are around that weight target. But this is just for me personally. I didn't like being that big personally. I just didn't like it. So I went ahead and during that summer of my sophomore year, I got a trainer. Luckily, my grandfather worked for a gym at the time, and he set me up with a really good trainer. And she really took me through like how to lose fat, like exercises, what to eat, how to actually eat to lose weight. and I worked with her through the summer. And luckily, at the same time, I had a growth spurt, so I kind of grew up and in. And so throughout all of high school, the rest of high school, from that sophomore year all the way to about I was a senior, I went from a double XL to a small, and I lost that weight and got down to, I think I got down to about 140 was my smallest in high school. So I got down to 140 pounds from near 300 down to that. And then throughout my life, I've just really enjoyed fitness. I really like working out. I had a buddy of mine named Andrew who the summer before we went to college, we were like, dude, let's get in shape. We want to be freshmen. Like, you know, we want to look done, man. We want to look good. So
you wanted to go to college and be in shape. Yeah. I see you. I see
you know how it goes.
I see you. I see you.
It was like we got together and we would work out every day. And then, of course, on days we worked, we would pivot that time depending on schedules and such. But for the most part, it was every day. We would get together and we would work out. We would go through a full 1 hour workout. We would start with 10 minutes of cardio. Typically, it was either running or elliptical. Then we would do a full weight and we would focus on chest, biceps, depending on the day. Since we did 6 days a week, it was a different target muscle every day of the week. Then we would finish off with stairs. And then 2 days of the week, we would go into the pool. So we did that for the whole summer. Got a little bit in shape and went to college. I gained that freshman 15, Ren. Whew, I gained that quick. Let me tell you, I dived right into the ice cream, the free food, the pizzas, and I let myself go a little bit. But it's always been, well, get back in, and that's what I love about fitness is that it's like you can always change back. Like you can always just get right back into the routine. And I think for some it feels like. I know for some it feels like, oh, when you get off, that's it. I want you guys to know. I want you guys to hear that. No, that's not it. You can get right back in it and you can get right back to it. Just get that discipline back up. There's never a point where you'll never be able to lift weights, and you'll never, unless unfortunately an injury or something happens. But for me, that's how I always looked at it, is like, hey, I always have moments in my life where I can lift some weight. So yeah, man. I mean, throughout college, I would work out. And then when I got to senior year, one of my buddies who was in the Marines who I met in college, he actually took me and my friend, all three of us did a program together that was designed by former NFL player. I don't even remember the dude's name, but he put together this whole Mark Megna, that was his name. He put together this whole workout and we did it for 2 months, and we got shredded. We got pretty ripped up because it was at that moment where I kind of went back to where I was before college, doing those serious workouts, doing like bodybuilding and lifting and really like bench press and stuff like that. I wasn't really doing that throughout college. But once I hit the end of college, it was like, we were benching, we were doing full body workouts. And then the plan would change every 2 weeks. So it'd be like, okay, you do this set of exercises, and you did that for 2 weeks. And then it would change to something else, to where it was like, okay, the beginning of the program for the first 2 weeks, it was like full body with cardio days and mostly full body target. And then the next 2 weeks, they broke it down to upper and lower. So then they did like upper days, lower days. And then the next month after that, the whole month, they focused on breaking it down by back and by push, pull, and legs. So then they were separated like that. So you did back and bis, chest and tris, legs. And then you would do cardio days in between. And then on the Saturday, you would still do cardio, but you wouldn't do as hardcore as the Tuesday, Thursday that was involved in the. So then I did that, man. And look, I've fallen on, back off and on and on. But I would say probably since the beginning of December, I've been pretty serious, man. Like, I'm like, dude, I want to be back in shape. This has been a great time. Not like eating all kinds of junk food that I used to eat. Like, full disclosure, I used to smoke marijuana religiously. I don't anymore. I dropped that. I decided to just really focus on my health this year. I drink a lot of water now. I drink my coffee too. And yeah, man, I just have
wrong with that.
Yeah, man. I used to have a supplement stack that I used to take back when I was working out with the guys right in my senior year throughout the end of college. I used to take a supplement stack. It used to be BCAAs, some aminos, protein powder. We took this like packet of pills, which typically was like vitamin C, zinc, magnesium, the stuff I'm taking now. It was literally just that in a pack. I was like, we shouldn't be buying these, man, because we're wasting money. We should just buy vitamins. But we would take those little packets, and then I've never taken creatine, and I've never done like actual pre-workout. So I've never done like the actual like pre-workout solutions. I've never done that, but I've done like aminos, protein, vitamin stacks, and MCT oil, stuff like that. Like I've done stuff like that. But now I'm just very focused. I can't go work at a gym, so I'm just very focused on body weight exercises. I have some weights here at home that I use, and I actually follow a trainer named Sydney Cummings on YouTube. She does a new workout video every single day. So it's a new workout each and every day. And what I've done recently is I've actually gone through her tenure of thousands of videos, and I've just plugged and played the formula that I used to really be attuned to, of that splitting that push, the pull legs. I do that formula and put it with her videos. And I don't follow her everyday uploads anymore, because I was doing that for a while and it just wasn't quite working out for me. But I was like, this lady has like thousands of videos. Why don't I just go search through, find some workouts? So I've been doing that, and then eating healthy. One cheat meal a week, man. That's been tough. But I've been sticking to my one cheat meal a week. Sometimes I'll have what I call a pseudo cheat, which is like not really a cheat meal, but it's like, I'm having white rice instead of brown like I usually do, and I'm having this and that. Like it's just
that's not a cheat.
Right. Like that's why I call it a pseudo cheat meal, because it's like it's outside of what I'm regularly doing, but it's not a cheat meal, if that makes sense. It's still healthy.
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like, or I might have like some like a pasta bowl, but it's like not too much going on in it. Like so I'll have like a pseudo cheat and a regular cheat, but I've always been into fitness, man, ever since being a sophomore in high school.
Yeah. And I really respected that, and I wanted to get to know, because it's another interest you and I have in common. And it's one of those things in life that no matter where you're at, it's one of the few things that nobody can do it for you. Like whatever you accomplish in there, it was you, and was you alone. It doesn't matter. Like even if you have a PT, it was you who got your body to look the way you wanted it to look, however you want it to look. So I truly respect anyone who's into fitness. Not that I don't respect people who aren't into fitness, but you know what I'm saying.
Bro, it's fun too. Like when you get that body you want, man, you be feeling good, bro. Like, and that's the thing is, I want to. I've had some conversations with some people where they're like, "Oh, you know that's kind of cocky." Not at all. Like we want to build a body that we want. Like and it feels good when you get to the point that you want. It feels good, Ren. When you get cut, man. I've been seeing you on your videos, bro. You cut. I see you, Ren.
Thank you. And it's cheat day today, so I'm earning these gains. I'm earning.
There you go, baby.
What weight are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now I'm trailing across 160, 170. So I'm a little heavier than I usually am. I'm about to cut, but my goal right now is just strictly cutting. I don't have access to a gym right now, so for me it's really cutting and just cutting and toning. That's really it for me. So I've been doing cardio and been doing a little bit of weights as much as I can, as much as I have access to, and then body weight workouts. So just really cutting down, my goal is about 145, 150, cut down to that. And then hopefully by then I can get back in the gym. I'm sure by the time I cut down to that, I'll be back in a gym. So I'll be able to add a couple more muscle pounds to that.
I'm doing the exact opposite, actually. I'm bulking up. I'm a 176 right now. I have a little home gym, very minimal, but I'll send you a video after we're done with this. I've taken you over time, so I wanna ask you like the last few questions, and thank you for your time, my brother. But we talked about YouTube. Now we talked about working out, and before those last two questions, I do want to get into, because you and I talked about it, and if it's okay, that you work out in part to deal with stress and anxiety. How did you first start to understand that you had that, and what are some of the things that you have tried along your life to deal with that?
Yeah, man. So I've always had ADHD. I always had a hard time really focusing So, and it's like, I didn't get an official diagnosis or anything like that, but I just know that I have such a hard time focusing on things sometimes. Like I'm here, I'm there, so for me, I have always been a little bit anxious about that because in some cases I have become a jack of all trades, master of none. But there are certain things that I do know, but it's just because my attention is always like bouncing around, dude. So I think for me that has created a little bit of anxiety. And sometimes in social situations, I just get a little anxious. And for me, one of the things that really controls that is my magnesium intake that I take every day. I actually take a pill of magnesium and it makes me feel better. Like sometimes in social situations, I just get nervous, man. Like it's just nothing I can really explain, to be honest. Sometimes I get nervous, and I've luckily been able to have some guests on the channel, which man, you coming on the channel, just so you know, I got you.
I hope so.
You coming on the channel, but I've had some guests, and before that, unfortunately, I had a couple of hard deaths that I had to deal with towards the end of last year. So it was a little bit hard for me, and kind of having to come through that was a lot. But I usually just take magnesium supplements, man. I work out. It helps my stress, helps my anxiety because I work full time. I pursue YouTube. I'm also a freelancer. I just started creating a series for this app called Rydel.tv. I just started creating a Marvel series, actually following the Marvel Cinematic Universe in chronological order. So there's so much going on. So sometimes it just, with everything going on, it causes me to be stressed and anxious a little bit. But like I said, really just the magnesium, breathing, by the way. Anybody who is a very busy individual, slow down, take 5 seconds to breathe. I promise you, it makes you feel 10,000 times better. Seriously, taking time to just slow down, breathe, pause for a second, take yourself out of all your work. And all it takes is 10, 20 seconds. It's not that long. Take yourself out of it and just breathe. And that right there brings me back into, okay, I can do this. I can get through this. I can just a quick breath. Then of course, magnesium, and I take zinc, I take D, and I take D3. I also take B12 and then C. So I take a nice vitamin pack, and then, I'm eating healthy, coffee. And I like to start every morning. And whenever I wake up, every day I wake up, I just start the day. I pull myself out of anything that I have to do for the day. No work, no YouTube, none of that. Trailers, none of that. I pull myself out of that and into that one moment, and I just start the day by saying, I'm grateful for blank. Thank you, God, for blank, because I am a believer. So I just say, thank you, God, for whatever it is that day. It might be, honestly, I've said thank you for YouTube. I've said thank you for the friends I've met on YouTube. I've said thank you for my home, my car, my job, for still having a job through the pandemic. I just start the day with that one thing that I'm grateful for, that one thing. I'm grateful for this. Then I get up and do the day, because for me, it's just having that gratitude in the morning allows the day to go by so much smoother, man. Like just that's the way I love to start my day, is just gratitude. And those are things that keep me from falling into the stress, because there's definitely been some moments where I've been like, I can't do this. And I wanted to give up, but man, no, looking at that finish line and knowing it's there, it's possible. Just got to keep going, slow down and breathe, take your vitamins and keep at it. And of course, working out helps so much. Oh my gosh, when it's a busy day at work and the stress is real and the oven's hot, let me tell you, that workout. And I actually work out in the morning, but sometimes I'll just do a supplemental workout right after work, because I'm like, let me just get a couple of curls in. Let me just do something just to get that stress out. And it helps. Sure.
Oh, truly it helps. And thank you for sharing, and even just letting people know, like if they have the same thing, something they can do to help. All right, my brother, before I let you go, I got 2 final questions. Number 1, give me 2 pieces of advice you would give to someone who wants to start this, whether it's YouTube or a blog or anything, just wants to get into this film or even geek space. If they don't talk about film at all and just talk about TV and anime, whatever, what are 2 pieces of advice you would give someone who wants to start out?
First piece of advice, be in focus. No, just like I'm like slightly out of focus, but I think my webcam's just kind of freaking out. But My first piece of advice, just start. Just start. Stop talking about it. Stop saying, oh, I want to get into it. Well, just start, bro. Even if you don't have a DSLR, even if you don't have a grade A camera, we all got cameras in our pockets now. Just start. So that's my first piece of advice. Just start. Don't listen to the inner negativity that's going on in your brain that's saying, oh, well, maybe I'm not good enough. Well, maybe I don't know as much. No. Don't listen to that. Just start. So that's my first piece, is just start. And 2, be sure to write down what exactly you want. And actually, I'm gonna curtail that a little bit. Learn when to say no. Learn when to say no. Learn when to know something that comes your way is not going to balance the exact goals that you want to get. And this is something I just recently learned, Ren, just recently as an adult. Learn to say no, because there are some really cool things that may come your way, some really cool opportunities, or some things that, might come your way that might sound in that moment really good. Take the time to think about it and take the time to really, really know whether or not that's going to help you later on down the line and help you be where you want to be personally. Is that going to help you? Because there are a lot of, and I just know this out of experience, there's a lot of internships and opportunities out there that will actually skew you off of your road a little bit, and will try to take advantage of you. So number 1, just start. Number 2, learn when to say no.
Thank you very much for sharing. And last question. Give me 2 names you would want to see on this show and hear about their origin story.
All right. Zach Goller. Man, that guy.
Oh,
he has been doing some amazing reviews. Like that guy, he knows how to really cast people, like a lot. Yeah. Like he has the perfect fan castings, and his reviews are just so stacked with knowledge. I really like that guy. So I would say Zach Goller. I want to see him. LC Screen Talk, if you haven't had him already. Larry.
No.
Man, he's the man. I love Larry. I just think he's got an electrifying personality. He knows how to bring this community together, which he does incredibly. Like he is just, he's just a guy full of fun. I love Larry, man. I think he's just a charming man. And then a couple more, Movie Files, Elliot and Adam Always Sideways podcast.
Oh yeah,
really good guys. Really good. Movie Files. He is somebody that I stumbled upon his YouTube channel before the pandemic, and I was like, this dude, A, very knowledgeable, B, he hosts a lot of live streams, very collaborative guy, and just overall, super grateful, cool guy. Really love Elliot.
He's awesome. I just had him recently on my other show, Geeks of the Round Table, and he's a super awesome guy. I've been on his show, and he's just super welcoming. So he's one I have in mind for sure. So thank you for the suggestions, Leo. Thank you so much for doing this, my brother. It was such a pleasure having you on. I've taken you over time because the conversation just flowed. So I can't thank you enough. What do you have coming up? Where can people find you? Just let them know all of that.
Guys, come on over to youtube.com/geeklygoods. For the good and geek, y'all. Every week I do reviews, news, and reactions on the latest in geek. I do trailer reactions. I do show reactions, movie and show reviews. Come on over. I'm definitely getting more involved in some anime. A little sprinkle of gaming in there, too. I got a PS5 on the way, so I'll be into that, too, a little bit. But, guys, come on over to Geekly Goods. We are all about talking geek as a community, you all. I'm looking to build a great community to just talk geek and talk positive geek, y'all. We don't want to talk about the negative, the toxic, all that. We just are here to talk positive movies, anime, and TV. That's really it, guys. So come on over to my YouTube channel. And then on Twitter, I'm Leo Rydel, and I have a Geekly Goods Twitter. Instagram, I'm Leo.Rydel and Geekly Goods. So, guys, follow me on my channels. Thank you so much, by the way, Ren, for having me on, bro. Like, really, like I said at the beginning, I have loved your content since I've stumbled upon it, man. I was watching Star Wars, The Clone Wars, the last season, and I was like, I remember typing in Clone Wars, and I seen you, man. I seen Ren Geekness, and I was like, I seen a dude. I just seen an avatar of a guy with a Thanos glove on. I was like, who's this dude? And then I just stumbled through your content, and I kept watching. I'll admit this now. I binged your content when I first discovered you, and I was like, this is awesome. I love your reviews. So being on this, man, has been an absolute pleasure. thank you so much, man. I'm grateful for real. I really am, Ryan.
Thank you, and thank you for the kind words. And honestly, it's a humbling thing that you tell me, or anyone would tell me, that you've binged my content, because I do that with the people that got me to do YouTube. So thank you very much. Again, thank you for doing this. Everyone watching, Leo's links are all in the description. Go give him a follow, give him some love. Love hearing your origin story, brother. Cannot wait to chat with you again, whether it's on camera or just on the chat, man. Thank you so much. And everyone watching, let me know in the comments below who should be the next guest. Agree with Leo? Have any other suggestions? All of that in the comments. Start the conversation. Until the next one, love each other and love the movies.